Okay, just make sure my screen is shared. Hopefully, you guys can see my screen. If you do, welcome to the second midterm week or second project this semester that this far. Today's presentation, we're going to be talking about the impact of children's literature. So rather that's the learning, talking about the history, defining what it means to us with a few examples, and also including the background of emergent literacy, the importance of why selecting, evaluating these books are so important for children to read, not only just for children but also for adults, and just to kind of discuss um, a little more into it, be more in depth, and after that, once we cover everything, I'm gonna show you a list of examples and. What else? And then after that, we're going to close out. And then I'm going to share with you guys some resources or the reference slide, which allowed me to or lead me into some of the information that helped me throughout this project. So once again, and allow me to introduce myself. My name is Leah Murphy-Noel. I am a senior education major here at Paul Quinn College from Brooklyn, New York, with a goal of becoming an elementary school teacher. And I have the privilege to share with you guys the screen. Okay. And here we have the agenda. I thought it would be appropriate to have a list of agenda because you're able to outline what's going to be talked about, said, and just to kind of get some not only insight but to be able to kind of open up the audience mind, open up your minds to instead of figuring out what's going to be talked about, no, you have a outline and list of what we're going to talk about so you have a better understanding and idea so there's no misconceptions or anything. So hopefully this makes sense and that you guys have a better understanding, and not just a better understanding but know somewhere in the back of your mind, okay, so this is what I've learned, so in the nearest future you have that in your mind, if that makes sense. Okay, so going on to the first slide, discuss the history of children's literature. So, of course, we always have to break it down. Children's literature is defined as the cycle of themes such as fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, and much, much more. It goes on and on. These books allow children to get exposed to what they're reading, help them find out that, find that connection, and to get them to explore in their minds a little more to witness what ideas they can come up with or find interest in. Children's literature also identified the past and present storytelling. Children's literature provides a brief history on the author and illustrators of their reasoning for writing the book they have published for children to engage in and to see how they can relate to the characters created. Now, as far as the beginnings of children's literature is an textual part of every world culture. It all began in the ancient art of storytelling. Now, not only children's literature was created or made for children to read, but parents also plays a part as well. The parents and children may like the same book, but have different interpretations. Children literature also is a classic storytelling. Now back then, in the fall of the Roman Empire in 476 EC, the European civilization entered a period of decline. And at that time, this classic world was lost during the early chaotic period historians once referred to as the Dark Ages. So at that time, education and moving on down, education was in the hands of the Roman Catholic Church to helping those who struggled in reading or in writing. Rebirth was the name that was ideal of ancient Greece and Rome during the Renaissance world. The term rebirth was a way of showing art, literature, philosophy, and the respect of learning women, in respect of learning. Women at that time didn't merit their own book. So really, the men took care of it. The woman didn't really have much of a say so or wasn't an author. They was in the process of writing books, but didn't publish it. During the 18th and early 19th centuries, publishing children's book began. John Newbery, who was a clever English bookseller, was the first to start. So he kind of kicked it off. Despite of the past history, children's literature still exists during today's society. Now, as far as discussing how children's literature differs today from its beginning, children's literature definitely differ today in its beginning by the type of genre and the message behind why these books were created. Most books in the past were made to teach children what to be aware of as preparation into adulthood or of adulthood. It was also to influence by moral and religious beliefs. In the past time, in today's world, the books we see tackles on real life situations during today's world. The authors these days have a more sensitive and critical way of expressing the true meaning of how these books can relate to many major issues. Another key point includes the family structure through its diversity experience and the way that foster global awareness. Storytelling also was one of the ways by our ancestors which was told by them, but now we have access to a digital platform such as ebooks for more engagement for children. Now, the importance of, and this is very, very, very important, I can't stress it enough. The importance of selecting and evaluating books for children is to promote literacy. It helps set the foundation of why reading is so essential. Bring interest and encouragement for foster positive attitudes about diversity, builds imagination, foster empathy, and all invaluable source of information and values, and it also allows children to help make connections emotionally. And as a way to continue, children are being introduced to various books to ensure it matched what they would like to know or discover by reading or looking at certain pictures in the book that stands out the most. Selecting books for children is not always an easy task, but it allowed those who can read to understand the bigger picture in the author's message. These books were also provided to help children practice tricky or any unknown words they are not familiar with. Now, getting into emerging literacy. Emerging literacy is we're gonna break it down a little bit. So emergent literacy encompasses the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that a child develops about reading, writing throughout the early child period, starting at birth and before the onset of conventional reading and writing instruction. It also includes oral language, for instance, and phonics and all that stuff. So it's the beginning stage before to kind of help the brain of a child expand, just to see and kind of play around with the book, just see what they know about reading. Writing, we not gonna get to that, but just more so is like getting them started into reading while it's early. Emergent literacy is also a key focus in any effective preschool curriculum, marketing the exciting stage when children start to understand the fundamentals of literacy and language. And also, emergent literacy also involves children occurring these skills through interactions and engagement in their surroundings. And as far as the importance of providing resources for young readers, it's to help future readers and for early the emerging literacy for future readers and early childhood programs focus on strengthening, creating, increasing, working, linking, and improving. And it could be more other ways or terms of the importance of that. It helps with language and vocabulary development, as previous what I said before with emerging literacy, and it includes that reading comprehension and critical thinking plays along with providing resources for young readers. And just a side note, teach if for those that have children, teach children while they are young before they start school. And it also empowers independent readers. Now on to discussing the type of books that are generally seen for children from birth to 5. Now, here are a list of books for birth and 1 year olds. Now, as you can see, most books may look the same, and as we go through these slides, they may look the same but are very different. And is different, maybe content or concept with different messages. So it just depends on what the readers or what the author provided, what he or she created, but it also have to align with the age and not something that would be too complicated. Especially as a beginner reader, you always want to make sure you start them young because most books that you can see, and we could go to the next slide, are mostly picture books. So there's less words, just more visual. So if that makes sense. So like, we have nursery rhymes, picture books as mentioned before. This is a way to introduce these young readers to books and just things that they are included in knowing. And these are a list of books for 3 year olds as well, 4 year olds. As you can see, it's a little similar, but again, like I mentioned before, it's very different. and then list of books for 5-year-olds. And as you can see, it becomes a little bit more with more words, just a little bit, but not as much as like a chapter book. So these books are very different than a chapter book. And to close out and to summarize, we have defined children's literature. We have discussed the history of children's literature, discussed the importance of children's literature, discussed emergent literacy and how it aligns with children's books, and as well as providing details on the selection and evaluation of children's book. And lastly, we listed out and highlighted the types of books that are normally shown in ages from birth to 5. And this concludes my presentation. I hope you guys had was able to gather some thoughts, some ideas, some information, and hopefully that this whole presentation made sense. And of course, if you have any further questions based on my research that I found, you're more than welcome to reach me or to just contact me. I'm more than happy to better assist and to go even deeper if you like. So thank you so much for tuning in.